Hi, this is Jeannie at Trendy, and today we're going to make a bunny wreath using this cute little bunny head, a 24-inch wreath, some 21-inch mesh, and I picked out 3 ribbons to use. We're going to start today using the poof technique. All these materials came from Trendy. I have a little bit of a cold, so you'll just have to bear with me. But everything came from Trendy, and we'll have the supply list posted on the tutorial. We're going to use a 24-inch burlap wreath. This is just a burlap work wreath, and if you'll notice, the 24-inch wreaths measure 15 inches across the metal rings. Now it's called a 24-inch wreath because once you put your ribbon and mesh on, you have a wreath that's going to measure 28 to 30 inches in width. To do the poof technique, we're going to start with 21-inch mesh. This is a combination poly jute product, and it's denim blue with ivory stripes, and you just gather your mesh up about 3 inches or so from the end and just pinch it together, and that's going to be our starting point. And you pick out a twist. We're going to start on the outside of the wreath and just attach the mesh. We're going to poke that raw end to the inside, attach the mesh, and we're just going to give the twist a couple of turns. And then we're going to measure 14 inches down our mesh for our next poof. We're just going to gather that up, pinch it. You may have to put your hand under that to puff that back out, and then move on to the next twist and attach the mesh. Just give the twist a couple of turns. We're not going to twist it all the way tight because we're going to be adding in some ribbon strips too. I'm going to let this mesh just roll off at the floor and get it out of my way. And we're going to measure 14 inches. And we're just going to work all the way around this wreath on the outer ring. You want to keep your poofs as even as you can, so just stop before you finish your last poof and make sure if you need to make any adjustments. When you work your way back to your starting place, let me get my measurement. You're going to open that twist where you started and make sure that your first poof doesn't come loose. Lay your mesh down in that same twist and then retwist it. Just a couple of turns. Now then, you're ready to move to your inner ring, so you're going to you don't cut your mesh, just bring that mesh up and attach it to a twist on the inner ring. We just brought it straight up like that. Okay, now we're ready to start making our poofs around the inner ring. We're going to do them 14 inches also. I love this mesh. It has a great texture. That little bit of jute thread just really makes a difference in the way it feels. Now, when we get back to our starting place, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to measure, get our poof, and then we're going to open up that twist. We're going to make sure that that other poof stays in place, and we're going to secure the last poof in. Give it a couple of turns, and now we're ready to cut off our mesh. And we're just going to cut that off, leaving a tail of 4 or 5 inches. And we're going to tuck that tail to the inside of the work wreath. there's our raw tail, where we started and where we stopped. We're going to take a couple of zip ties and secure those tails so they won't slip back out or anything. You can do this with a chenille stem also. You want to snip off those ends with your wire cutters. Well, I put my chenille stem around it, but I didn't secure it to the frame. I just caught it around that, so let me secure it to the work wreath frame. This is a smaller chenille stem. Zip tie. Now then. Okay, now let's flip your wreath back over and just push your poofs out to the outside, and now you're ready to add your next piece of decoration. My plan right now is to use this bunny head on one side of the wreath and this carrot maybe on the other. But first we're going to do some ribbon strips. It's always a good idea to kind of check the depth of your wreath before you cut your ribbon strips. And this wreath is a good 9 inches deep, so we'll need our ribbon strips to stand up taller than that so that they'll stand out. So we're going to do a test strip. I cut this ribbon strip 12 inches, and I believe that's going to be a little too short, so I'm going to try 14. It's always good to use a scrap piece of ribbon before you start cutting up your ribbon for your wreath. You don't want to cut a bunch of ribbon strips and have them too short or too long. Well, I believe it wouldn't hurt for them to be a little bit longer. Let's go with 16 and see how that works. Okay, that's 16. I think I like that better. Now, what we'll do is we'll cut a couple of ribbon strips with our ribbon, and we'll put a few in, and we'll see how they look before we cut up all of our ribbon. We're going to chevron the ends of our ribbon, and the way to do that is fold the ribbon in half, and then fold it again lengthwise, and then cut on the fold away from you. And then when you open it up, you've got chevron on both ends. I'm just going to kind of alternate my ribbons. I'm going to stack the narrow ribbon on top of the 2.5, and I may use some of the black on top of the orange too, but we'll just alternate it and see how it looks. On your ribbons, you're going to pinch your ribbons in the center. Untwist your tie. Be sure that your poof doesn't come out of place. And then lay the ribbon down and then twist your tie back. Now, if this is your last layer, you can twist it 3 or 4 times. smooth out your ribbon. And you'll just have to pick out your ribbon pattern any way that you want it. We'll start out alternating like this, and then we may change and add in more or do something different. But always have your ribbons face up. All these ribbons are from Trendy Tree. We have thousands of ribbons to choose from. Okay, so now we've got ribbon strips in every twist on the inner ring, and now we're going to move to the outer ring. So I think what I'll do this time is I will alternate, and I'll use orange with black ribbon on top. And at the end, if we think we need more ribbon, we can always add more. Well, I haven't gone all the way around my wreath yet, but I think we need more ribbon, so I'm going to change my pattern. What I'm going to do is put 3 ribbons together at one time, and I'll just alternate whether I have the orange on the bottom or the green on the bottom. So I'm going to start around the outside with that pattern. Now we have attached our ribbon. I wound up putting all 3 kinds of each ribbon into each twist. The 16 inches I think is fine, but if you wanted to make your ribbons a little shorter, you could. 14 to 15 inches I think would be fine also. You can always use as much or as little ribbon as you want. Now the next thing we need to do is decide on the placement of our bunny head. And I think I'm going to just kind of nestle him down over on the side, and then I think we'll take this carrot and kind of angle it, put it over here on the opposite side. Well, there's our bunny wreath after we finished it. We attached the bunny head using the burlap hanger that was on the bunny head and attached that to the work wreath frame with the zip tie, and then we added a piece of double strength doubled fishing line around the neck to secure it in a second place. And then the carrot was just secured with a little piece of ribbon tied around the carrot, tied to the work wreath frame. Always check the back of your wreath and make sure you don't have any sharp edges that you need to turn to the inside or cover up or anything like that. The wreath measures about 30 inches in diameter now. And on the ribbon strips, I cut them 16. Probably if I had to do it over, I maybe would just cut them 14. You can always go back and trim the ends a little bit shorter. The longer they are, the more you manipulate the wreath, you'll have to, keep straightening the tips out. So if you want those a little bit shorter, certainly you could. We had a little bit of ribbon left over. We probably had a yard or 2 of the mesh, and maybe there's only a yard or 2 of each ribbon. So we used just about everything we had. Okay? We hope you'll share this video with your friends. We will have some kits made up with these supplies. Now the kits won't last long, but we'll leave the tutorial up because you can always choose other bunny heads, other mesh, other ribbons, and use the same directions, and make the wreath. But we will have the kit posted on the website. Like I say, all the supplies came from Trendy Tree, and the written tutorial will be there also. Thanks for dropping in. We appreciate it. There's a little icon down at the bottom right of your screen. You can click on that to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss our next videos coming out. I apologize for my voice today. I've got a little bit of a cold. And there's the bunny wreath. And let's see, the next thing that we're going to do, we have a bunny hat that we're going to do a wreath with, and then we're going to work on a horse head. So be sure and come back and check out our channel to see our next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.